Wars are begun and waged for many reasons. For example, many squabbles broil over land ownership and border disagreements. Fighting over resources like water, food, and fuel are not uncommon. Feuds may arise because of cultural differences or religious friction, as well as battles fought in the defense of liberty against tyrannical dictators. Sometimes these skirmishes remain local and regional. Sometimes these conflicts become so huge as to involve many countries and millions of people around the world. The swath of destruction is enormous. The loss of life and pain of injury from war is massive, and the memories and the sadness lingers for generations. It was the year 1914. The Boston Braves had just won the World Series. The Panama Canal was completed and opened. Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs was first published, but in Europe the tension was boiling, especially in southern Europe, the Balkan region. Some countries were afraid of losing economic or political position in the world. Some countries were concerned that other countries had too much military strength and felt threatened. The French were upset about losing land in a previous war. Europe was a hotbed of insecurity, of paranoia, of fear, and anger. On the 28th day of June 1914, a Serbian, Gavrilo Princip, a member of a terrorist group called the Black Hand, assassinated Franz Ferdinand, Archduke and heir to the throne of Austria, and his wife in Sarajevo, capital of Bosnia. This action fueled the spark which ignited World War I, also known as the Great War, also known as the War to End All Wars. Austria-Hungary declared war against Serbia. Quickly, alliances were made, and countries throughout the region began aligning themselves and taking sides. They would poise themselves with a group of countries they felt would provide them with the greatest economic advantage and political power. Basically, two divisions were formed. The Central Powers, as they were called, formed by the union of Austria-Hungary, Germany, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. In opposition, the Allied powers were formed with Serbia, the British Empire, the Russian Empire, France, Belgium, Italy, and Japan. The United States did not enter the war until later. During the war, German submarines, or U-boats, patrolled and hunted in the waters around Great Britain. The Germans warned that any vessel caught in these waters would be sunk. A year into the war, a British passenger cruise ship, the Lusitania, was attacked and sunk by a German U-boat. Of the passengers who were killed, 128 were Americans. 2 years later, the United States declared war on Germany. The world was at war, and a nasty, bloody, terrible war it was. With the invasion of Germany into Belgium and Luxembourg, this became the Western Front, and hundreds of miles of trenches would be dug by the Allies from the North Sea way down to Switzerland. Infantrymen would hunker down and fire from these trenches in order to halt or hinder the advance of the enemy. This Western Front was the main theater of World War I. Advances in technology, like the machine gun, flamethrowers, airplanes, the Zeppelin, the telephone, radio communication, armored trucks, tanks, and poison gas all combined to make the work of destruction in human lives and property greater than could ever be imagined. During one attack, by British soldiers using poison gas, a shift in the wind caused the plan to backfire, causing either death or suffering of 60,000 British troops. Along with the massive human injury, medical advances improved in treatment, plastic surgery was developed, and blood banks created. World War I lasted only 4 years. but the toll would be mind-boggling. In all, 11 million military personnel would die, plus an additional 7 million innocent civilians. 20 million wounded would be counted. World War I ranks among the deadliest conflicts in human history. Ultimately, the plan of the Central Powers would fail. Germany would be unable to overtake France. The Allied powers would be victorious. However, the cost would be enormous. As a result, the Russian Empire collapsed, as well as the fall of the Ottoman Empire, the German Empire, as well as the failure of Austria-Hungary. Treaties of promises would be signed, promises of peace. The Versailles Treaty would require Germany to take full responsibility for the loss of life and property. Eventually, this burden would be too great for Germany to carry. What could have been the war to end all wars would only be in history as another great and terrible world conflict, as another terrible world conflict was looming just around the corner.